There comes a moment in your journey when the only voice you must listen to is the one within. The world may clamor, others may have opinions, expectations, or judgments, but none of it matters unless it resonates with the truth of your own being. You were not created to be a shadow of someone else's story. You are the author, the speaker, the image maker of your life. And the power to shape that life lies in your focus. What you give your attention to, you give your life to. You must understand this. The outer world reflects the inner state. If you continue to look outward, measuring yourself by others, watching who leaves and who stays, trying to control the uncontrollable tides of people's decisions, you lose the precious force that was meant to be centered in you. Let them go. If they no longer align with your vision, your growth, or your peace, let them go. Not with resentment, not with pain, but with the knowing that every exit is an entrance into a deeper version of your own awareness. The moment you shift your focus inward, the moment you stop chasing, explaining, or proving, you begin to create. Your reality responds not to your effort to manipulate the outer world, but to your inner acceptance of who you are and what you claim as true. When you hold your attention on your desire and live in the end of its fulfillment, you are no longer dependent on who walked away, who misunderstood you, or who failed to see your worth. You are seeing yourself clearly, and that vision is enough. The world is a mirror. It cannot reflect anything that you do not first accept within yourself. If chaos appears, it is only revealing chaos within. If rejection arises, it simply echoes the part of you that still questions your own value. Focus on yourself, not with selfishness, but with sacred responsibility. You are the operant power. When you withdraw your attention from what others do, say, or think, and return that attention to your inner reality, you begin to move mountains. Every time you shift your gaze from what they did to how you now feel, from who left to who you are becoming, you reclaim your power. There is no freedom in watching the rearview mirror. All of your energy belongs to the now, to the unseen, to the imagined scene that you dwell in privately. That is where true change begins. Not in their apology, not in their approval, not in their return, but in your decision to honor the divine within you. Let them go. Let them be who they are without needing to fix, convince, or carry them. You were never meant to sacrifice your becoming for the comfort of another's expectations. Some connections are seasonal. Some departures are sacred. Some endings are beginnings in disguise. The truth is, the more you focus on who you are and what you are here to express, the more your life reshapes itself to match your inner world. So bless the exit. Release the memory. Drop the need to be understood. Focus on yourself, not from fear, but from truth. Not from pride, but from power. Give yourself permission to live in the state of your ideal, to feel it real, to assume it now. You are not waiting on anyone. You are not bound by the decisions of others. You are free to create, free to feel, free to be. Do not chase shadows. Do not replay old scenes, hoping for a different outcome. Dwell in the fulfillment of your desire as if it is already yours, because it is. In the invisible, everything is already done. The only thing that changes your world is your awareness of being. So let your awareness rest in what you choose to be. Let your focus return again and again to the truth of your inner world. And as you do, all that no longer belongs will fall away without force. All that is truly yours will be drawn in by the magnet of your focused imagination. In the silence of your own mind, you hold dominion. In the stillness of your inner conversation, you create your tomorrow. So stay there, rest there, focus there, and let the rest go. Let them go. Let the memories fade, let the attachments dissolve, and let the need to be validated by anyone outside yourself be completely released. You were not born to carry the weight of other people's decisions. You are not here to question your worth based on someone else's blindness. You are not here to convince someone to stay, to see you, to choose you. You are here to choose yourself, to see yourself clearly, to remain loyal to the vision you hold deep within. And what is this vision? It is the truth that you are whole. You are already complete, already loved, already enough. The moment you decide to identify with this truth, you are no longer shaken by who goes or who stays. You are no longer moved by the winds of external opinion. You are rooted in the unseen reality you carry within, unshakable, invisible, yet absolutely real. That is the power of attention. Whatever you withdraw your attention from loses its hold over you. Whatever you give your attention to multiplies and becomes flesh in your world. There is no need to resist what leaves. Resistance is energy wasted on illusion. When you resist, you empower the very thing you wish to escape. But when you let go, when you release your grip on the external and return to the stillness of your own mind, the whole world begins to bend to your state of being. Let them go. You are not losing anything. You are remembering who you are. And in that remembrance, the things, people, and situations that no longer resonate will fall away naturally, like leaves in autumn. No force, no struggle. Just surrender to the truth that you no longer need to participate in what does not honor your becoming. The old story of rejection, of betrayal, of abandonment was never your truth. It was a passing shadow, the echo of forgotten thoughts, beliefs picked up unconsciously and played out on the screen of your life. But now you know, now you see. You are the awareness that observes, selects, and assumes. And what you assume, you become. What you dwell upon in thought, you embody in form. So why spend another moment rehearsing what hurt you? Why rehearse scenes of rejection when you can enter into the atmosphere of your fulfillment? You are not required to explain your growth. You do not owe your peace to anyone who thrives on your disturbance. And you are under no obligation to hold on to anything that diminishes your light. Focus on yourself, not in self-absorption, but in sacred alignment. Center your being around the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Close your eyes and live from that place. Speak from that place. Move from that place. Think from that place. And the world, though it may appear unchanged, will begin to mirror back your new state of being. Every change you seek begins within. And every person you lose is simply the reflection of an old state that no longer matches your inner vibration. They are not enemies. They are not mistakes. They are messengers. Their exit is confirmation that the inner shift has occurred. Don't grieve what was removed by the law of your own consciousness. Celebrate the clearing. Honor the new space it has created. You are making room for what belongs. And what belongs will find you, not because you chased it, but because you became it. Your only work is to remain loyal to your inner world. Do not betray yourself for the sake of being accepted. Do not abandon your own growth just to be understood by someone who is not ready to see. You cannot force others to rise to your level of awareness. You cannot hold them in your reality if they are committed to a different version of you. That is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to persist in your assumption, to dwell in your ideal, and to maintain the feeling of already having what you desire, regardless of appearances. The world will test your focus. It will tempt you to react, to return to the old self, to lower your standards in order to fit into places you've outgrown. But you must remember your reality is not shaped by reaction. It is shaped by conscious attention. You become what you observe internally. You merge with what you repeatedly accept as true. So ask yourself, what are you accepting right now? What identity are you claiming in the silence of your thoughts? What inner conversations are you entertaining? Are they aligned with your vision, or are they rooted in fear, in doubt, in unworthiness? You cannot hold two identities at once. You cannot be the creator and the victim. You must choose. Either you dwell in the state of being chosen, loved, prosperous, free, or you remain trapped in the illusion that you are at the mercy of others. The choice is always yours. And that is the true freedom. You get to decide what is real. The moment you claim a new identity, the world begins to rearrange itself to reflect it. But it begins in you, not in their apology, not in their return, not in external evidence. It begins when you say, "This is who I am now," and persist in that knowing until it hardens into fact. And yes, people may fall away. Yes, some may misunderstand your silence, your boundaries, your elevation. Let them. You are not here to be understood. You are here to remember your divine power and to live from it unapologetically. If you must walk alone for a while, walk with confidence. The crowd will catch up when your frequency becomes undeniable. But for now, let your solitude be sacred. Let it be a sanctuary where you mold your inner world, where you imagine freely, where you no longer wait for permission to thrive. Focus is creation. Whatever you consistently attend to with feeling will become part of your world. So guard your focus. Do not waste it on things you cannot control. Do not dilute it by scattering it across 1,000 opinions. Let it be singular, firm, anchored in the state of already having. Every time you revisit the memory of being left, being hurt, being overlooked, you reactivate that state, and life will mirror it back to you again. But the moment you shift, the moment you occupy the state of being loved, chosen, successful, peaceful, life must respond in kind. There are no exceptions to this law. You are not waiting on anything but your own alignment. The doors are not locked. The path is not hidden. The people, the opportunities, the resources, they are all standing by, awaiting your assumption. But you must stop looking back. You must stop assigning power to anyone outside of you. You must stop waiting for closure, for justice, for acknowledgement. None of those things are required to move forward. All that is required is your decision to no longer dwell in the past. Let them go. Let the story go. Let the attachment to what should have been go. You are not here to repeat cycles. You are here to ascend, to create, to expand. And every person who exits is simply making room for the next chapter of your evolution. Thank them in your heart. Release them in your mind. And return again to your vision. See it, feel it, occupy it. Not just in moments of quiet meditation, but throughout the day, in your thoughts, your reactions, your self-talk. Make your ideal state your dwelling place, and watch as the outer world bends to match it. There is no need to rush, no need to force. Creation is finished. The state already exists. Your only work is to enter it and remain there. You are not becoming, you are revealing. You are not chasing, you are aligning. You are not lacking, you are remembering. And the more you remember your true identity, the less concerned you become with who stays or who goes. You realize that no one defines your worth. No one gives you purpose. No one has power over your peace unless you give it to them. So take it back. Take your attention back. Take your imagination back. Take your self-concept back. You do not need to be healed by their return or validated by their acceptance. You are healed when you see yourself as whole again. You are free the moment you stop reacting. You are powerful the moment you focus entirely on your desired state and refuse to entertain anything less. The world changes when you do. The people change when you do. The circumstances shift, not because of force, but because you have assumed a new role in the play. You have changed the script, and all the characters must now respond to the new identity you wear. Do not concern yourself with how this happens. That is not your domain. Your domain is awareness. Feel it real. Stay loyal to the unseen. Persist in your assumption. And above all, focus on yourself and let them go. There is no betrayal in choosing yourself. There is no guilt in walking away from what no longer honors your growth. And there is no weakness in letting go of what was built on fear, doubt, or misalignment. You were not created to live beneath your vision. You were not born to remain entangled in situations that deny your light. The law of life is simple. What you focus on expands, and what you assume you become. So if your focus is still on who hurt you, who left you, who didn't see your worth, then your life will continue to reflect that echo. But there's another path, a higher way, a deeper truth. And that truth says you are free, free to release, free to rise, free to imagine something new. Nothing binds you except your attention. Nothing holds you back except your inner consent to stay small. So withdraw your consent. Reclaim your vision. Stop waiting for closure, for apology, for reconciliation. Let your wholeness be your closure. Let your peace be your revenge. Let your joy be your evidence that you are no longer entangled in anything that kept you beneath your potential. The world moves on rhythm, on unseen currents, on laws that never fail. And one of those laws is this: your inner state attracts its outer counterpart. You cannot hold yourself in a state of loss and expect gain. You cannot dwell in lack and call forth abundance. You cannot live in the energy of rejection and still expect to feel chosen. You must change the state. You must enter into the atmosphere of your desire and make it your dwelling place. That is the work, not chasing, not persuading, not fixing others, but assuming the truth that what is meant for you cannot miss you when you are in alignment with it. Let them go. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. The path of transformation is often lonely at first, but loneliness is not a punishment. It is preparation. It is a season where you are stripped of the noise, so you can finally hear the whisper of your own soul. And in that silence, in that sacred stillness, you begin to remember who you truly are, not the version molded by trauma or shaped by others' expectations, but the original self, pure, powerful, divine. And from that place, your focus becomes your weapon, your wand, your compass. You no longer invest your energy in what is left. You no longer replay old scenarios, hoping they turn out differently. You no longer beg the past to fix itself. Instead, you create anew. You lift your eyes from what was and begin to see what can be. And what you see, what you feel, what you embody internally, must externalize. It is law. It is certain. So don't break your own heart by staring at closed doors. Don't poison your future by feeding on the pain of yesterday. Every moment you focus on lack, you breathe life into it. Every time you affirm your abandonment, you renew its power. But every time you say no more, every time you redirect your focus back to the desired state, you rewrite the script. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. You are not required to fix anything outside yourself. That is not where change begins. Change begins in the unseen, the inner conversations, the silent assumptions, the mental images you replay in the quiet of your heart. That is where your true life is born. And if you will honor that inner world, if you will take it as seriously as the physical world, you will begin to see miracles unfold, not because life suddenly favored you, but because you finally aligned with who you really are. The people who walked away, the situations that crumbled, the relationships that broke apart, none of them were accidents. They were answers. Answers to your silent request for growth, for freedom, for alignment. Sometimes the way is made clear through subtraction. Sometimes the path only opens once certain weights are removed. And though it hurts in the moment, when you look back from the mountaintop, you will realize the valley was necessary. The loss was liberation. The detour was divine. So stop holding on to what no longer fits. Stop romanticizing what was never rooted in truth. Stop editing yourself to be loved. You do not need to shrink to be accepted. You do not need to perform to be chosen. You only need to be fully, authentically, powerfully. And when you do, what is meant for you will recognize you without effort. It will be drawn to the frequency you now carry. You won't need to chase or strive or beg. You will simply receive, but you cannot receive with clenched fists. You cannot receive while still gripping the past. You must open your hands. You must release the old identity, the version of you that was attached, desperate, waiting. That version cannot walk into the new season. That version cannot carry the vision. Let it die. Let the morning come. Let the silence settle, and then begin again, not as a victim of the past, but as a creator of the present. Every thought you think is a seed. Every feeling you entertain waters that seed. And eventually it bears fruit. So if your life is filled with pain, go back to the garden of your mind. What are you planting there? What images are you allowing to grow? You cannot think thoughts of rejection and expect a harvest of love. You cannot dwell in fear and expect peace. You must become ruthless with your inner world. You must guard your mind like sacred ground, because it is. Focus on yourself, not as an act of selfishness, but as an act of stewardship. You are stewarding your own energy, your own purpose, your own assignment. And you cannot fulfill that purpose while distracted by who did what to you. You cannot ascend while clinging to resentment. You cannot create while constantly revisiting destruction. Your destiny is too valuable to waste on bitterness. Let them go, not because they were wrong or you were right, but because you are choosing alignment over attachment. You are choosing vision over validation. You are choosing creation over comparison. And you are choosing peace over pain. Not everyone will understand this choice. Not everyone will celebrate your shift. Some will resist it. Some will criticize it. Some will try to pull you back into the old version of yourself. Let them. Their opinion is not your prison. You owe them nothing but silent detachment. Your only obligation is to the life you were sent here to live. And that life requires your focus. That life demands your imagination. that life will not manifest in a distracted mind. You must be deliberate. You must be disciplined. You must choose, moment by moment, to dwell in the end, to think from the place of already having, to feel the joy, the freedom, the abundance of your fulfilled desire, as if it were your current experience, because it is in consciousness. It already exists. You are not trying to make it happen. You are simply allowing it to unfold through your assumption. And this is the final truth. Nothing is denied you except by your own attention to its absence. When you remove your attention from the absence and place it on the presence, the shift begins. It may not appear immediately. It may not come in the form you expected, but it will come. It must, because life is obedient to your dominant state. Life is a faithful mirror. It cannot lie. So step out of the shadow of what was. Step into the light of what is becoming. Let the past fall silent. Let the old stories grow cold. And let your imagination catch fire with what is possible. That is where your focus belongs. Not on them, not on what left, not on who couldn't stay, but on yourself, your vision, your future. There is nothing selfish about choosing your healing. There is nothing unkind about letting go of what was. There is only truth, and the truth is this: your world begins and ends with you. Focus on yourself and let them go. The world you experience is not separate from you. It is not some independent force acting upon you from the outside. It is your reflection, the echo of your inner state. Everything begins with your self-concept, your assumptions, your dominant thoughts. The people who appear, the circumstances that unfold, the relationships that form or dissolve, they are not accidents, nor are they random. They are drawn to you by the magnet of your inner state. You are the center. You are the cause. And when you truly accept that, you realize how sacred your focus is. You begin to guard it with reverence. You begin to understand that what you give your attention to, you give life to. So when someone walks away, when something crumbles, when a chapter ends, your reaction is no longer grief or panic or confusion, it is clarity. You understand that what is left was no longer aligned with the state you are entering. You understand that loss is often the language of transformation. You no longer see endings as punishment. You recognize them as invitations, opportunities to focus more fully on yourself, to return your power inward, to claim your rightful place as the creator of your experience. You cannot focus on becoming and hold on to what was. You cannot move forward while gripping the past. You cannot rise while looking backward. The version of you that attracted those experiences has fulfilled its part. There is no need to condemn it. There is no need to relive its lessons. Simply thank it, release it, and step into the new. Let your vision be greater than your memory. Let your imagination speak louder than your fear. Focus on yourself, not in ego but in embodiment. Embody the version of you who already has what you desire. How would that version think? Speak, move, react, begin to live from that place. Not later, not when circumstances change, but now. And as you do, everything that does not belong to that state will naturally fall away. You won't need to force it. You won't need to struggle. It will simply dissolve because it no longer has a home in your new vibration. This is the law. It is always working. You are always in a state, and that state is always outpicturing itself as your world. So become more interested in your inner world than the outer conditions. Become more curious about your assumptions than about other people's behaviors. Become more invested in your self-concept than in anyone's opinion. Your self-concept is the seed, and your world is the fruit. If you want to change the fruit, you must change the seed. And changing the seed means shifting your focus. It means releasing the mental habits that keep you locked in cycles of disappointment. It means refusing to replay conversations that make you feel small. It means interrupting thoughts of lack, abandonment, and unworthiness and replacing them with visions of joy, love, and success. It means taking back control of your imagination and using it consciously. You must become a master of your inner conversations. What are you telling yourself all day long? Are you reinforcing the old story, or are you speaking as the version of you who already has what they desire? This is not fantasy. This is the only reality that matters. The inner world is the cause. If you get that right, the outer must follow. It has no choice. It is law. So when people leave, when things shift, When the familiar disappears, do not panic. Stay anchored in the truth. Stay loyal to your vision. You are not losing anything. You are being restructured. You are being prepared. You are being aligned with what you have asked for. And often that alignment requires a shedding, a releasing, a letting go. Let it be gentle. Let it be peaceful. Let it be sacred. There is no need to explain your process to anyone. There is no need to justify your focus. Let others misunderstand if they must. Let them project their own fear, their own doubts. That has nothing to do with you. Your only work is to persist in the assumption of your desired state. Your only work is to live in the end, not from force, but from faith. Faith in the unseen. Faith in the power of imagination. Faith in the divine design unfolding perfectly in your favor. You do not need to defend yourself. You do not need to react. Reaction is bondage. Reaction is distraction. Stay in creation. Stay in the knowing that your inner world is sovereign, and no one can disrupt it unless you give them permission. Withdraw that permission. Take your focus off of them, and place it firmly on the version of you who is whole, loved, confident, and complete. And remember this, love does not require chasing. Peace does not require compromise. Abundance does not require struggle. All these things are already yours. When you embody the state where they exist, you do not earn them. You allow them. You align with them. And that alignment begins with focus. Let your focus become your prayer. Let your inner conversations become your sanctuary. Let your imagination become your source. What you see on the screen of your mind is far more powerful than what you see with your eyes. Train your mind to dwell only on what you wish to experience. Make no room for the old story. Make no space for the lies of limitation. The more you focus on your desired state, the more your mind accepts it as natural. And once it feels natural, it becomes inevitable. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are changing, and the world is catching up. You are shifting, and everything is rearranging. You are choosing, and the universe is responding. So choose wisely. Choose deliberately. Choose with the awareness that you are the operant power. Nothing is happening to you. It is all happening through you. Let the old identity die quietly. Let the roles you played in other people's stories come to an end. You no longer need to be the fixer, the pleaser, the chaser, the victim. You are the creator. You are the dreamer. You are the one who gets to say, "This is who I am now," and watch the entire world conform to that new declaration. Do not fear the emptiness that comes with letting go. That emptiness is not void. It is potential. It is the fertile soil where new manifestations will bloom. Do not rush to fill it with noise or distractions. Let it be. Let it speak. Let it show you what you've been too busy to feel. And then from that stillness, plant the seeds of your new reality. Every assumption is a seed. Every assumption is a creative act. What are you assuming about yourself, about life, about love, about your future? Your assumptions are prophecies. They are the blueprint from which your world is built. So assume wisely. Assume generously. Assume with love. You no longer have time to entertain what drains you. You no longer have space for what dims you. Your life is too valuable. Your vision is too clear. Your destiny is too great. Focus on yourself. Not because you don't care about others, but because you finally care enough to become all that you were meant to be. And as you do, as you make that internal shift, the external world begins to mirror it. The people who belong will remain. The opportunities that match your new frequency will arrive. The clarity you've been seeking will emerge. And none of it will feel forced. It will feel natural. It will feel inevitable. Because it will be flowing from who you now are, not from effort, but from embodiment. So hold the vision. Hold the state. Be unwavering. Be still. Be faithful to what you know deep within, that you are already it. You are already whole. You are already chosen. You are already the one. Let that be your inner truth, and let the world reflect it in due time. Until then, stay focused on yourself, and let everything else go. The more you turn inward, the clearer it becomes that nothing outside of you truly holds the power to shape your destiny. What you once believed to be obstacles, people leaving, doors closing, silence where once there was noise, these are not signs of loss, but invitations to rise in awareness, in dignity, in spiritual authority. Life is not happening to you, It is responding to you. It is echoing the dominant tone of your inner world, the silent truths you repeat to yourself when no one is watching. So now you begin to understand the sacredness of separation, the gift in the goodbye, the clarity born out of solitude. You were never abandoned, you were being led. Led back to yourself, led back to the origin, to the only source of true power, your consciousness. You do not need to chase, to plead, to beg for recognition. Recognition arises from embodiment. When you become the version of you who already has, who already is, who already knows, the world recognizes you as such. It has no choice. The illusion is that your peace depends on their presence. The illusion is that your joy depends on their return. The illusion is that your wholeness is tied to their validation. But the moment you focus inward, deeply, intentionally, repeatedly, that illusion dissolves. You see clearly. You see that all you ever needed was already within. And once that becomes your truth, your world begins to reflect the harmony you've discovered. Others may not understand this shift. They may call you distant, cold, or selfish. But you are not here to be understood by the unaware. You are here to remember the truth, to stand in it boldly and to live it without apology. Let them think what they will. Let them talk. Your silence is not emptiness. It is power. You are no longer reactive. You are responsive only to the call within, that call which speaks not in panic but in peace, not in noise but in knowing. And from this knowing, everything changes. The same world that once triggered you, that once left you anxious or chasing or needing, now becomes still. You see others clearly, not as saviors or threats or sources of identity, but as reflections of your past assumptions. You no longer fight them. You no longer need to correct them. You simply release them. Some will leave because they no longer match the vibration you now carry. Let them. Do not cling. Clinging only keeps you tied to the version of you that no longer exists. Do not mourn what you've outgrown. Celebrate it. You are expanding. You are entering into a greater version of self. And with that expansion comes refinement of relationships, of habits, of environments. You no longer fit where you once belonged because you have remembered that you were never meant to belong in limitation. You were meant to walk in freedom. Freedom of thought, freedom of thought, freedom of feeling, freedom of creation. There is no longer any need to explain yourself. There is no need to defend your decision to go inward. You are no longer seeking approval. You are no longer asking for permission to rise. Your focus is your prayer now, and every time you return to it, every time you anchor yourself in your chosen state of being, you build a new world, quietly, powerfully, unshakably. What seemed impossible before begins to feel natural now. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You are no longer trying to create from force. You are living from knowing. Knowing that what you desire is already yours, already done, already waiting for your embodiment. This knowing allows you to rest. It allows you to release the constant tension of waiting. You stop looking for signs. You stop watching the clock. You stop begging time to move faster. You trust the unseen to arrange itself perfectly in your favor. You do not rush divine timing. You do not interrupt the process by checking constantly to see if it's working. You simply remain faithful to your new identity. You carry it like a secret treasure. Not everyone needs to know. Not everyone will see it yet. That's okay. The world catches up. But you must not drop your focus to match their doubt. You must stay elevated even when you're misunderstood. That is your test and your triumph. It becomes less about proving and more about being. Less about performing and more about receiving. Less about explaining and more about existing in the quiet, unshakable certainty that you are already it. You are no longer reacting to the old reality. You are creating a new one by assuming the feeling of your desire fulfilled and refusing to let it go. This is the power of focus. It is not effort in the physical sense. It is effortless because it flows from clarity. You no longer waste energy on questions that keep you bound. Why did they leave? Why don't they see me? What did I do wrong? These are the questions of the old self. The new self knows there is no loss in letting go. The new self trusts that everything removed was removed to make space for something better aligned with your new frequency. So you no longer mourn what has shifted. You observe it with neutrality. You bless it and release it, You understand the wisdom in the removal. You see that the absence created space for something greater. You no longer see life through the lens of abandonment, but through the lens of ascension. And in this space of ascension, your inner world becomes your sanctuary. You don't need to escape it anymore. You no longer run to distractions, to noise, to the opinions of others. You sit with yourself. You imagine vividly. You feel deliberately. You affirm consistently. And this inner practice becomes your lifestyle. Not a ritual, not a routine, but a way of being. You live from the end. You think from the place of your fulfilled desire. You walk as if it were already done. And because you do, the old world no longer holds you. The grip of the past weakens. The emotional charge of the former version fades. You feel lighter. Not because the world got easier, but because you stopped carrying the weight of what doesn't belong to you anymore. You stopped entertaining the idea that you need to be chosen by others to be complete. You stopped believing that love must come from outside. You found it within, and now you carry it everywhere you go. This love is quiet, yet powerful. It does not boast. It does not beg. It simply is. It flows through you because you no longer block it with doubt. You've accepted that you are worthy, worthy of peace, worthy of abundance, worthy of joy, worthy of love, worthy not because of anything you do, but because of who you are. You are already the one. You do not need to earn what is already yours. You only need to receive it. And receiving happens when you stop resisting. So let go of the resistance. Let go of the mental chatter that says you must fix what's broken. Let go of the temptation to revisit the pain. Let go of the idea that you must hold on to everyone who ever meant something to you. If they are meant for the new version of you, they will remain. If they are not, they will drift. Let them. Your only task is to remain in your state. The state of being that aligns with your chosen reality. The state that feels like peace, like joy, like power, not because something happened, but because you decided to feel it now. And that decision, made repeatedly, becomes your atmosphere, your aura, your magnetic field. Others begin to sense the shift, not because you told them, but because you became it. You became the embodiment of your desire, and embodiment cannot be faked. It cannot be masked. It is felt. It is seen. It radiates. You don't need to chase what already belongs to you. You simply align with it and it finds you. It shows up. It manifests, not as a reward, but as a reflection. You do not need to be patient in the way the world teaches patience. You need only to remain faithful, to hold the tone, to keep your inner world rich, alive, and full of the feeling that your prayer has already been answered. Because it has. The moment you assumed it, the moment you felt it real, the moment you believed it in your inner world, it was done. And everything since then has simply been the unfolding of that assumption. So don't look to the outside for confirmation. Let the confirmation be internal. Let your feelings confirm it. Let your reactions or lack of reaction confirm it. Let your peace confirm it. And let your focus remain unwavering. There is no need to convince anyone of your vision. There is no need to explain why you are no longer the same. Growth speaks for itself. Expansion cannot be hidden. And those who are meant to walk with you will recognize it. Those who don't were never truly aligned. And that is okay. Their exit does not hinder your rise. It clears the path. It opens the way. It blesses you in disguise. So walk forward, not in anger, not in regret, not in bitterness, but in quiet, sacred certainty. The kind of certainty that comes when you've seen the truth within and refuse to turn away from it. And as you continue to walk in this inner freedom, the silence that once felt like abandonment becomes your teacher. The space that once felt empty becomes fertile with possibility. And the loneliness that once stung now turns into clarity, strength, and stillness. You come to see that letting go was not a loss. It was a gain, a clearing of clutter that made space for truth. You were not being punished when they left. You were being positioned. You were being carved into the shape of the person who could carry the weight of the blessing already assigned to you. You no longer see your reflection through the broken mirrors of other people's opinions. You no longer accept someone else's inability to recognize your value as evidence that you have none. You no longer attach your worth to fleeting affection or scattered attention. You anchor your worth in the truth you carry within. And because of this, you move through life differently. You speak differently. You walk into rooms without shrinking. You no longer tolerate environments that force you to beg for the very things you were born to embody: peace, joy, love, abundance. The shift is internal first. The shift is subtle. But soon, everything around you begins to change. Not because you tried to manipulate it, but because you became different. You became someone who no longer needs to rehearse the pain to feel alive. You became someone who no longer needs to carry resentment to feel strong. You became someone who no longer waits for closure from the people who caused the wound. You gave yourself that closure. You released them. And in doing so, you released yourself. You are no longer trying to build bridges where there are no foundations. You are no longer dimming your light so others don't feel uncomfortable. You are no longer justifying your intuition. You have made peace with not being chosen by those who do not yet know how to recognize what is sacred. You no longer argue with what leaves. You trust that if it goes, it no longer belongs to the state you've entered. And the more you let go, the more you focus on what you're becoming. You understand that what is ahead is greater than what is behind, and you no longer need to entertain what once held you back. You no longer resist the divine reordering. You no longer run back to old patterns just because they are familiar. Familiarity is not safety. Repetition is not destiny. You are choosing the unknown not out of recklessness, but out of wisdom. You know now that the path opens not by certainty but by assumption, by faith, by feeling the end as real and living from it. Your inner conversations begin to shift. Where you once spoke fear, you now speak power. Where you once imagined rejection, you now imagine celebration. Where you once assumed failure, you now assume fulfillment. These assumptions are not wishful thinking. They are creation. They are how you form the structure of your next reality. You are no longer guessing at life, you are designing it. And the blueprint is drawn in thought, in feeling, in silent belief. There is no one to blame anymore. The blame dissolves as awareness deepens. They did what they knew, they saw what they could. But that was their state, not yours. And you are no longer a prisoner of their state. You have moved, you have elevated, and with elevation comes a shift in visibility. Some can no longer see you, not because you've disappeared, but because you now exist at a frequency they do not reach. And that's okay. Your growth is not a betrayal. Your detachment is not cruelty. It is sacred. It is necessary. As you continue to embody the version of you that has already arrived at the destination, you stop asking for permission to feel good. You stop delaying your joy until conditions change. You choose joy now, not because everything looks perfect, but because you've decided to live from the unseen. You've decided that your inner world is the source, and therefore you are always free to dwell in any state you choose. This is not escape, it is mastery. And mastery means discipline. The discipline to return to the vision no matter what the world shows you. The discipline to remain in your chosen state even when the outer world tries to pull you back into the old story. The discipline to let go again and again, not just once. Every day you release. You release the urge to control, the temptation to doubt, the habit of waiting for the old to fix itself. You do not wait anymore. You create. You imagine, you assume. You do not curse the delay. You understand that delay is illusion. In the unseen, it is already done. You do not need to beg life to hurry. You only need to remain in the state where it is already yours. From that place, there is no resistance. From that place, manifestation becomes movement. Movement of what you already possess in imagination, arriving in form. There is no anxiety here, only knowing. There is no fear here, only clarity. You stop revisiting wounds just to feel connected to who you were. You stop labeling yourself by what others called you. You stop performing the old character in the play that you've outgrown. You are writing a new script now, and in this script you are the one who chooses, the one who assumes, the one who holds the vision long enough for the world to catch up, the one who no longer begs life to prove your worth because you have made that decision yourself. What they couldn't see was never the issue. What you couldn't see about yourself was. And now that you see, now that you know, now that you've remembered, you are no longer chasing anything. You are no longer arguing with the past or negotiating with the temporary. You are rooted. You are still. You are available only to the experiences that match the state you've claimed. And the more you dwell in that state, the more your world bends. Not all at once, sometimes gradually, but always surely. You begin to notice little shifts, the way people speak to you, the way opportunities appear, the way time stretches and contracts around your assumptions. You realize you are not subject to life's randomness. You are not waiting for luck. You are not trying to be in the right place at the right time. You carry the right place within you, and time bends to the frequency of your assumption. You stop trying to control outcomes. You focus only on the inner experience. You nurture the feeling of already having, and that inner atmosphere begins to radiate outward, attracting only what matches it. You're not acting for show. You're not pretending. You are genuinely living from the truth of your imagination. And because it is felt as real, the outer world confirms it. It always does. It always must. You stop seeing yourself as broken or waiting to be fixed. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to prove or strive or earn. You simply are whole, worthy, enough. And from that place of sufficiency, everything flows. You don't seek the next thing to validate your becoming. You create because it is natural, because it is joyful, because it is who you are. You stop questioning the silence. You stop fearing the unknown. You understand that what feels like waiting is often weaving, a quiet reordering of the fabric of your life. And as you continue to hold the vision, as you continue to let go of all that is not in harmony with it, the details begin to fill in. The picture becomes clearer. And what once felt distant begins to feel inevitable. Not because you forced it, not because you begged for it, but because you aligned, because you assumed, because you were bold enough to focus on yourself and let everything else take its rightful place. And as the old reality continues to fade, as the former attachments continue to dissolve, you do not grieve like you once did. You understand now. You know what's happening. You are no longer walking in circles. You are rising in spirals. You are no longer trapped in cycles. You are stepping into alignment. You are no longer waiting for others to come around. You are walking forward, eyes fixed on the unseen, heart anchored in the end. You've already claimed. You've remembered the truth. Your reality begins with you, not with them, not with what they said or did, not with who stayed or who left, but with your inner world. That's where the power has always been. That's where the story changes. That's where the transformation begins. And now, you've chosen to live from that place, deliberately, consistently, joyfully. So you no longer look back. You no longer reach for what is no longer reaching for you. You focus. You imagine, you assume, you persist, and in that persistence, the world rearranges, slowly, then suddenly, quietly, then obviously. Not by chance, but by law. Not by effort, but by embodiment. You've stopped looking for them. You found you, and that was always the point. You no longer stand in the ruins of what was, trying to rebuild from old bricks. You have laid a new foundation, invisible to the world, but unshakable to you. Each moment you choose to return to your center, you add to this foundation. Each time you refuse to be moved by appearances, you rise a little higher. You do not seek to persuade others to see your worth. You live it. You do not chase closure. You create peace. You do not perform wholeness to be accepted. You embody it because you've remembered that you already are. This shift is not loud. It does not demand validation. It is quiet, like dawn. It grows in stillness. And yet it is more powerful than any noise the world could make. You are no longer at war with what is not. You are in harmony with what is already yours. You do not pray as if begging. You commune as one who knows. You do not visualize to escape reality. You feel the unseen as the true reality, knowing that the outer must reflect the inner in due time. You understand now that reality is not fixed, it is fluid, and your state is the mold. So you tend to your state with devotion. You wake up and dwell in the feeling of peace before the day gives you reasons. You enter into the joy of success before it shows up in the account. You walk in love before anyone says the words. You forgive in advance. You release in advance. You bless in advance. Not because the world has earned it, but because your inner world is sovereign. You are not reacting anymore. You are selecting. You are choosing. You are assuming. You are radiating. And in this selection, you begin to notice the way people shift around you. Some fall away, not because you rejected them, but because your vibration no longer resonates with their frequency. Others appear, not because you went out searching, but because they were always aligned with your chosen state. You learn not to cling to either. You bless the entrance and the exit equally. For both are teachers, both are mirrors, and yet neither defines you. You are no longer shaped by the shifting winds of others. You are the weather now. You are the climate of your reality. Your inner speech begins to change. The way you talk to yourself becomes sacred. No longer cursing yourself for past mistakes. No longer rehearsing failure like a mantra. Instead, you affirm with calm certainty. You walk through the corridors of your mind speaking life. You remind yourself of the vision. You remind yourself of your identity. You nurture the assumption of already having, already being, already dwelling in your chosen state. And that assumption becomes your atmosphere. You do not seek revenge on those who misunderstood you. You do not chase after apologies never given. You do not stalk the shadows for signs of redemption. You are not trying to win them back. You are winning yourself back. You are not waiting for someone to make it right. You are being made whole by your own awareness. That is the miracle. Not that they changed, but that you did. Not that they saw the light, but that you became it. And the light you carry now is not pride. It is power, quiet power, steady power. The power of one who no longer flinches at rejection or panics at delay. You are settled in truth. You are calm in storms. You are clear in vision. And because of that, your steps are guided, not by force or fear, but by faith and feeling. There is a clarity now, a knowing, that cannot be explained to those still attached to appearances. You no longer try. You do not waste breath convincing anyone of your transformation. You simply live it. And in that living, those with eyes to see will see. Those with hearts to feel will feel. But even if they don't, it is well. For you have chosen to be loyal to your vision, not their opinion. The silence that once frightened you now feels like sanctuary. The stillness that once felt empty now pulses with creative power. You are no longer addicted to noise, to constant motion, to endless striving. You are rooted. You are being. You are allowing. You are imagining. And in imagination, you find your authority. For there, in the unseen, you rearrange your entire life. Not with struggle, not with toil, but with awareness, with assumption, with surrender to the truth that what you feel deeply, consistently, and lovingly within must take shape without. It is promise. It is done. So you no longer fight the delay. You bless it. You bless the space between the seed and the bloom. You bless the silence between the prayer and the proof. You bless the moment before the manifestation, not because it is comfortable, but because you know it is fertile. You know it is sacred. You know that something is forming. Even if unseen, you trust the unseen now more than you trust the visible. You lean into the invisible now more than you lean on what is. You live from the end, not towards it. This shift in posture changes everything. No longer striving, you are receiving. No longer chasing, you are attracting. No longer proving, you are resting. And in that rest, creation happens. Ideas drop in, people show up, paths clear. The effort you used to waste on worry is now invested in vision. The energy you used to waste on attachment is now freed for creativity, clarity, and calm. You are no longer a visitor to peace. You live there now. You do not visit joy like a stranger. You wear it like a skin. You are no longer auditioning for the life you want. You are rehearsing it in consciousness until the outer reflects the inner rehearsal. Even the memories that once hurt you begin to lose their grip. Not because you forgot, but because you've redefined them. You no longer use the past as evidence of limitation. You use it as fuel, proof that even then you survived. Even then you grew. Even then something higher was being born through you. You do not carry resentment into the new. You travel light now, light in thought, light in heart, light in energy. You release them, not because they deserve release, but because you deserve peace. You let them go, not because they were right, but because you are ready, ready for more. ready for freedom, ready for alignment, ready for joy without conditions, peace without permission, and love without limits. This is not about ego. It is not about being above anyone. It is about being above the patterns that once kept you stuck. It is about rising into who you've always been, beneath the noise, the fear, the trauma, the attachment. And from that place, everything changes. You begin to attract new conversations, new connections, new clarity, not by force, but by frequency. You begin to move through life like one who knows their worth, not because someone told you, but because you told yourself, because you believed it, because you assumed it. And now the world has no choice but to agree. You stop asking for signs. You become the sign. You stop waiting for confirmations. You live in the confirmation of the state you've chosen. You stop explaining yourself. You embody yourself. You stop chasing alignment. You are alignment. And so the journey continues, not as a striving, but as an unfolding. Not as a fight, but as a flow. You have released what no longer serves. And in that release, you have made space. Space for the real, space for the true, space for the beautiful, the sacred, the already done. You are no longer seeking outward what can only be built inward. You are no longer dependent on the external world to prove to you who you are. You know, you remember, you imagine, you assume, you persist, and the unseen bends to the seen. The imagined becomes form, the inner becomes the outer, and you do not need anyone else to understand it. You are not here to convince. You are here to live, to walk in the fullness of what you've chosen, to experience the power of the inner state made manifest, to be the evidence of what happens when you stop focusing on them and start focusing on you. And as you walk forward in this light, unburdened by the need to look back, the world rearranges itself to fit the image you hold within. You are no longer startled by the sudden shifts, by the doors that close, by the voices that fall silent, by the absence of those who once held your hand. You understand now that all exits are entrances in disguise, that every perceived loss is an opening for a greater alignment. There is no bitterness in your letting go. There is only understanding. There is only freedom. You no longer feel the urge to explain your silence. Silence has become your strategy. It has become your sanctuary. In stillness, you recalibrate. In solitude, you become whole. You are no longer afraid of being misunderstood because you are no longer seeking to be understood. You are not living for applause. You are living for alignment. And in alignment, you attract what is right, what is pure, what is lasting. The love you once begged for from others, you now pour into yourself. The validation you once sought like a thirsty wanderer, you now give freely within. You speak gently to yourself. You comfort yourself. You stand by yourself. And in doing so, you have become your own source, your own refuge, your own home. And because you are no longer desperate for someone else to fill your voids, you no longer cling. You no longer chase. You no longer compromise your power to feel worthy. You have discovered the divine rhythm of life. You now realize that what belongs to you will never require you to abandon yourself to obtain it. You no longer sacrifice your peace for proximity. You do not dilute your voice for connection. You do not shrink your light to make others comfortable. You do not confuse love with suffering. You have matured into a deeper understanding that true connection honors the self, not erases it. And so you allow things to fall apart if they must. You do not resist the crumble. You understand now that demolition always precedes construction. You welcome the divine disruption. You make peace with the unknown, because you no longer fear emptiness. You see it as preparation. You know that absence always creates space for the presence of something better. And in that surrender you find peace, not the kind that's circumstantial, but the kind that's cultivated, chosen, and claimed. You have tasted the sweetness of being anchored within. You have felt the serenity that comes from no longer being reactive. The old triggers don't pull you like they used to. The same voices that once shook you now seem faint. You've stopped giving away your center in exchange for fleeting attention. You've stopped explaining your soul to those determined to misunderstand it. You've stopped outsourcing your sense of self. You have shifted from external navigation to internal authority. You don't wait for the world to approve of your dreams. You give yourself permission. You don't pause until someone says it's time. You move when your inner self says go. And this is not rebellion. This is remembrance, a remembering of who you are and whose you are, a remembering that nothing outside of you has the power to define your destiny. And now that you've returned to yourself, life bends in response. Opportunities open like flowers in sunlight. New faces appear, drawn not to your mask but to your authenticity. The more you focus inward, the more the outward begins to reflect your wholeness. You no longer attract from neediness. You attract from fullness, from radiance, from sovereignty. You are magnetic because you are no longer trying. You are simply being. And you understand now that letting go is not giving up. It is trusting higher order. It is honoring divine timing. It is refusing to hold on to what your soul has outgrown. You do not grieve endings as failures anymore. You recognize them as conclusions. You recognize them as answered prayers in disguise. You recognize them as necessary redirections. And in that trust, you are carried. You no longer plead with life to give you what you want. You embody the state where it is already yours. You feel it as done. You walk as though it is settled. You think as though it is already established. You are no longer begging reality to change. You are commanding it through the shift in your awareness. You no longer ask, when will it happen? You ask, who must I become to dwell in it now? And in that becoming, you create. You do not get caught in the waiting. You understand that waiting is not passive. It is creative. It is the place where you fertilize your inner soil with belief, where you cultivate patience not as resignation but as mastery. You do not rush the process because you trust the seed. You do not dig it up to see if it's working. You water it with gratitude. You bless it with faith. You nurture it with imagination. And while others may still seek to pull you into the noise, you remain unmoved. You don't match their chaos. You keep your peace. You do not argue for your worth. You live from it. You do not dim yourself to be digestible. You shine, and those meant for you will rise to meet your light. You've stopped lowering the volume of your vision so others can sleep. You are awake now, and staying awake. You do not let temporary appearances deceive you anymore. You've seen behind the curtain. You've witnessed the power of your inner speech. You've discovered that the unseen world is more real than what your eyes can perceive. You don't panic when things look opposite. You persist. You don't waver when it seems quiet. You deepen. You don't regress when it feels delayed. You assume. You hold. You believe. You've tasted the difference between performing peace and actually possessing it. The difference between seeking love and embodying it. The difference between needing someone and choosing yourself. This is your power. It is not aggressive. It is not defensive. It is rooted. It is calm. It is consistent. It is gentle strength, quiet certainty, inner royalty. And because of this, you now live from a different altitude. You see differently. You feel differently. You no longer react to old patterns because they no longer apply. They don't match your state. You have risen above them, and in this new state you are not concerned with who left or who stayed. You are concerned with who you are becoming. You are not revisiting old wounds, hoping for closure. You are not texting ghosts, hoping for reconciliation. You are not scrolling through memories, trying to resurrect a version of yourself that no longer fits. You've moved on in more than body. You've moved on in spirit. You are whole here. You are home here. You are safe here. You carry the sacred now. You carry the understanding that everything is always unfolding for your highest good, that no loss is wasted, that no delay is denial, that no silence is void of movement. And because you know this, you live in peace, not the peace of passive acceptance, but the peace of powerful awareness, the peace that comes from knowing you are the operant power in your world. So you rise each day not wondering what the world will bring, but deciding what you will assume. You shape the tone of your day with your first thoughts. You hold the vision before the evidence appears. You do not adjust to what is, you create from what you've chosen to feel. And the world bends to your chosen self. This is the path of the awakened, not the path of perfection, but the path of persistent remembering. And as you remember again and again who you are, who you've chosen to be, what you've chosen to live, you walk in grace, you walk in trust. You walk in the knowing that by focusing on yourself and letting go of what doesn't match, you are not losing. You are aligning. You are not giving up. You are making room. You are not being cold. You are being clear. And in that clarity, the world has no choice but to respond. And as you continue to dwell in this sacred awareness, the need to control, to explain, to justify, all begin to dissolve. You realize now that the people who were meant to understand you did so without effort. They saw the truth of your being without needing an explanation. And those who could not see you, those who only looked at you through the eyes of their own distortion, were never meant to walk the full distance of your journey. You blessed them silently and released them inwardly, for nothing pure is ever lost. You have transcended the need for closure, because true closure is not found in words or apologies, it is found in acceptance. It is found in the quiet space where you no longer resist what is. You stop asking why they did not choose you, why they did not stay, why they misunderstood your heart. You stop replaying the past like an unfinished scene, hoping the ending will change. You accept that it ended as it should have. You release your grip on the version of the story that only existed in your desire. And in that surrender, you reclaim your energy. Your energy is no longer scattered across timelines that do not serve you. It is not trapped in conversations that never happened. It is not imprisoned in fantasies of what could have been. It is yours now, centered, restored, whole. You bring it all back to the present moment where your true power lives. You are no longer seduced by memory. You are no longer held hostage by nostalgia. You are devoted now to what is real, what is now, what is becoming. And what is becoming is glorious, because you have chosen to focus on yourself. Your inner world has become fertile. You have planted new seeds of thought, new seeds of assumption, and they are growing in unseen places. You cannot see the full bloom yet, but you can feel the roots deepening. You can sense the shift. You wake up differently now. You move differently now. You look in the mirror and see the glow of someone who no longer betrays themselves to be loved. You are no longer chasing love. You are embodying it. And as you embody it, love must return to you. Not the kind that requires suffering or self-sacrifice, but the kind that reflects your wholeness. Relationships no longer feel like rescue missions. They feel like mirrors. They reflect what you believe about yourself. And now that you believe you are enough, the world agrees. You attract what matches your sense of worth, not what challenges it. You no longer feel drawn to those who drain you. You are drawn to what nourishes, what honors, what celebrates the real you. There is a new calm in your spirit now, a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken by appearances. Even when life appears uncertain, you remain sure. You have lived long enough in anxiety and doubt to know that they create nothing but more of themselves. You have chosen instead the feeling of peace. You persist in peace. You cultivate it like a sacred garden. You tend to it with your thoughts, your assumptions, your imagination, and you protect it with boundaries, with clarity, with awareness. When people return from your past, you do not greet them with longing. You greet them with discernment. You ask yourself not, do I still love them, but do they still match me? Because you realize that love alone is not enough. It must be met with respect, with mutual evolution, with aligned vision. And if it is not, you release it, not in bitterness, but in grace. You know now that holding on to what does not fit is the fastest way to lose yourself, and you are no longer willing to do that. You are no longer trying to prove your worth through effort, loyalty, or suffering. You have stopped bending to be seen. You have stopped shrinking to be accepted. You have stopped waiting to be chosen. You have chosen yourself. And in doing so, you have ended the cycle of emotional starvation, the cycle of overgiving, the cycle of clinging to those who are not ready. You no longer call that love. You call it what it is, abandonment of self, and you have vowed never to abandon yourself again. Now you stand tall, not because of what others say about you, but because you know who you are. You do not need agreement to be certain. You do not need applause to feel validated. You do not need presence to feel complete. You are enough as you are, always have been, always will be. And that knowing frees you. You move differently in the world now. When you enter a room, you do not scan for who might like you. You anchor yourself in who you are. You do not perform. You do not edit. You do not shrink. You show up fully, authentically, completely, because you are no longer afraid to be seen in your wholeness. And if someone cannot receive it, that is not your wound. It is their limitation. You do not take it personally anymore. You bless and keep walking. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to create. You are not here to fit into expectations. You are here to live from your highest self. And you do so not through force, but through alignment. You align your thoughts with your vision. You align your feelings with your faith. You align your actions with your inner knowing. And from that space, life responds with divine precision. Even when it seems slow, you know it's moving. Even when it feels silent, you know it's working. Even when nothing changes on the outside, you feel the shift within. And that shift is enough, because you now know that the world is simply a delayed mirror of your internal state. You no longer look to the mirror to feel better. You change your face and then watch the reflection adjust. The past may try to tempt you, old emotions, old habits, old stories, but you do not return. You do not open doors that led to nowhere. You do not re-enter rooms where you once lost yourself. You walk forward, knowing that every step is a statement. I have chosen to honor my becoming. I have chosen to protect my peace. I have chosen to live from truth, not fear. And as you do this, you no longer fear letting go, because you trust what is coming more than you mourn what is gone. You trust your evolution more than you miss your comfort. You trust the new energy more than you idolize the old. You see that letting go was never a loss. It was always the invitation, an invitation to rise, to become, to remember. So you keep going, not with urgency, but with purpose. You know there is nothing to chase, only things to align with. You are not a seeker anymore. You are a chooser. You choose your state. You choose your story. You choose your outcome. And that choice is your creative act. It is the seed that blossoms in divine timing. It is the assumption that shapes your experience. It is the inner decree that declares, this is who I am, and so it is. And it is. Because you have made peace with the process. You are no longer addicted to instant results. You are committed to inner reality. You have shifted from desperation to dominion. You have shifted from lack to vision. And in this space, you no longer need to be understood, seen, or approved. You are too focused, too faithful, too free. And this is how the world begins to bend. Not by force, but by frequency. Not by chasing, but by choosing. Not by struggle, but by state. You focus on yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of sacredness. Because you finally understand the most powerful thing you can do is become who you were always meant to be. And anything that cannot walk with you, there is not a loss. It is simply left behind in love. So now, with quiet strength and unwavering calm, you walk forward whole, centered, and free. You no longer reach for what has let you go, because you have remembered who you are. You no longer argue with the past, because you are too invested in your unfolding future. You no longer beg life to change, because you are changing from within. And in that change, everything begins to respond. Doors open, paths clear, people align. Not because you chased them, but because you chose you. You focused on yourself, and life adjusted to meet you there. And that is the real miracle. When you finally let them go, everything that was truly meant for you comes rushing in.